When I was creating my wildlife companion video, my goal was to fully embrace the Beastmaster fantasy, fighting alongside my companion as a bow-wielding ranger. I imagined blanketing the battlefield in endless clouds of stench from the Primal Stink Bow, weakening enemies with Affliction, while my companion and I tore through them, fueled by the Frenzy 6 perk. But let's talk about the Primal Stink Bow. This thing is an absolute monster for single target damage. And if you don't believe me, hear it straight from the legend beast himself.
Stink Bow is really hard hitting single target. He popped away from this and then sat down a 160 smasher in like 2 shots.
But despite all that power, a couple of major flaws have always held this bow back.
It struggles to kill 160 enemies, and that does not scale to the end game and does not pair with Stoneheart Farah.
However, I'm Lyrix-x, and I take throwaway heroes and trash considered weapons and turn them into top tier builds. And today, I'm showing you exactly how I fix both the Primal Stink Bow's biggest weaknesses. Because with the right hero synergies, this bow isn't just viable, it's S tier. And with a combination of Rex Jonesy and the Stink Bow, I created Skunkasaurus Rex, one of the strongest and most fun builds I've ever played. No exaggeration, no clickbait. Now, 'tis the season of giving, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video to vote on which hero I'll feature in my next holiday special loadout. Alright, back to Skunkasaurus Rex. But before we get into the loadout, it's important to show you some of my testing. We'll start with Stoneheart Farah's recommended loadout using the Stink Bow on an Exploder Husk. Heads up, return to sender. Yeah, sorry about that. This is to establish a baseline and to identify the first flaw. The Primal Stink Bow does not scale into the end game. After the initial hit, Affliction ticks twice per second for 4 seconds. That's 8 total Affliction ticks. Notice that during the first second, the first 2 ticks deal less damage at 7,415 per tick. That's because the 45% bonus damage to afflicted targets only activates after the first second. Once that bonus kicks in, the remaining 6 Affliction ticks hit for 8,026 each, for a total Affliction damage of a whopping 62,986. And let's be honest, that's not impressive at all. Now, let's run the same exact test with my Skunkasaurus Rex build. Watch the Affliction ticks closely. The difference is about to be mind-blowing. Okay, first off, that exploder completely disintegrated. Let's try a second exploder. He dies in just 4 Affliction ticks, and if you didn't catch it, one of those ticks nearly breaks 250,000 damage. You might be wondering, how the heck? Well, Rex Jonesy's perk Saurian Might adds 9% of your current health to the next range weapon hit every second. This lines up almost perfectly with the bow's 1 second firing rhythm, but more importantly, Saurian Might can also trigger on the Affliction ticks. You see, Rex Jonesy is to range weapons what Paleoluna is to melee. So naturally, we're running Blast from the Past team perk. And anytime you run Blast from the Past, make it a habit to collect the health bonus pylon. That pushes my max health from 1,947,553 to 2,434,441, turning Rex Jonesy's perk into a massive, repeatable damage steroid on every shot, or every full second of Affliction ticks. So now let's switch to a smasher, and I'll slow it down so you can really see how much Affliction damage this setup deals at full duration. I also want to note that I'm running hybrid in this build, which extends our weapons Affliction duration from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. That's 14 total Affliction ticks. The initial shot lands for over 400,000 damage, but unfortunately it overlaps the first Affliction tick, making that value unreadable. Since we can't confirm it, we'll exclude that tick and tally the rest, just to understand that the true Affliction damage is actually higher. That's over 971,498 Affliction damage from a single arrow. That's more than 900,000 additional Affliction damage compared to Stoneheart Farah. That proves that with my Skunkasaurus Rex build, the Primal Stink Bow's Affliction absolutely scales into the endgame. What it doesn't prove yet is whether the weapon can clear crowds. So now, let's tackle flaw number 2. In this clip, I'm staring down 11 water elemental husks, a husky husk, and a nurse. 2 arrows leave the bow and the battlefield is erased, save for a single straggler. Now that is the definition of true crowd clearing. With the Skunkasaurus Rex loadout, the Primal Stink Bow sheds every weakness it was known for. And in my opinion, the Stink Bow ranks just behind the Vacuum Tube Bow and Cloudburst. Let's go over the rest of the build. To even activate Blast from the past, we need 2 Dino Heroes in support. Prehistoric Isa is a lock-in, giving us 33 armor, which massively boosts survivability. For our second Dino slot, we're choosing between Triceratops Ramirez and Parasaur Jess as our healing source. I'm about to talk numbers, so yours will be different, but the ratios and concepts still apply. Triceratops provides a passive heal of 51,732 every 4 seconds, which works in builds that have long ability cooldowns or don't utilize abilities at all. But Rex Jonesy is a soldier with frag grenades, a 25-second cooldown that stacks 3 charges, and that changes everything. Parasaur Jess heals on every ability activation, restoring 7.2 of max health, which is 175,280-ish health per use for me. Again, your numbers will be different, but the concept still applies. Take some damage, yeet a frag. Take more damage, just throw another. With 3 charges and a short cooldown, staying at full health is effortless. And what really breaks this build isn't the sustain healing, it's the burst healing. Instead of telling you how strong the burst healing is, let me show you. I'm going to intentionally take damage and drop to just under half health. The first frag grenade heals me for 175,280. That's exactly what Parasaur Jess's perk promises. The smasher then hits me for 126,832 damage. We'll come back to that detail later. I immediately spam throw the next 2 frag grenades, and in under 5 seconds, I've already burst healed 525,837 health. That alone is very strong. But we're not done. Once my energy regenerates to 40, I activate Warcry, healing for another 175,280, bringing the burst healing total to 701,117 in under 10 seconds. And for context, I put the smasher down in just 3 Primal Stink Bow arrows, showcasing how strong this weapon's single target damage really is. And as soon as my energy refills to 50, I pop lefty and righty for another 175,280 heal. Now by that point, a frag grenade charge is already back, pushing our total burst healing to 1,051,676 health in under 30 seconds. That's insane. And if we hadn't taken that damage from the smasher, this burst heal would have put us at just a sliver away from full health. For comparison, Triceratops Ramirez would need 81 seconds to passively heal to match that. And in that extended amount of time, you'd realistically be taking way more damage. So, when you look at the numbers, it's an easy decision. Parasaur Jess outperforms the alternative in this build. Alright, we need to fill 2 more support slots. One of them is dedicated purely to boosting our bow damage. If Stoneheart Farah's Cupid's arrows created additional stink clouds, she'd be the obvious choice. But right now, they don't. Because of that, Rabbit Raider Jonesy and his Sure Shot perk is the best option for this build. And for the final support, Gia is the hero that inspired this entire build. She synergizes insanely well with the Frenzy 6 perk from the Primal Stink Bow and fully delivers on the Ranger Beastmaster fantasy. If you're not familiar with how strong an unkillable wildlife companion really is, do yourself a favor and watch my companion build video. It breaks down benefits most players completely overlook. That said, if you don't want to run a companion build, Breakbeat Wildcat is an excellent alternative. Her perk is almost always active thanks to the build's crowd clearing, and if you're using traps, it stays active no matter what. And just to be clear, this is the exact build you're watching on screen, where I soloed a 164 player Ride the Lightning with no base and endless smasher waves. But I prefer the Gia build. Both loadouts are on screen now. Obviously, our primary weapon is the Primal Stink Bow. These are the god rolled perks for my Skunkasaurus Rex build. You might be wondering why I don't use the 6 perk that grants Frenzy for eliminating 5 enemies in 4 seconds. The problem is simple. It only lasts 5 seconds, which is barely noticeable, especially for your companion. Instead, I run the 6 perk that grants 12 seconds of Frenzy when you eliminate a mist monster, and the difference is massive. Mist monsters spawn constantly in high level missions, so all you need to do is prioritize the mist monsters keep Frenzy rolling, and clean up basic husk in between while it's active. And for my secondary weapon, I switch between the Instigator or the Primal Shotgun. It depends on my mood, but both are incredible. Here are the perks for both. I always run the pot shot as my utility weapon, perfect for when things get a bit hairy. It's also ideal for dealing with the hard counters to this build. Nurses, who slightly shut down Affliction ticks, and floating shielders, which block arrows and need to be removed immediately. One pot shot rocket deletes them. Problem solved. And since both Hybrid and Rex Jonesy's perks work with any weapon that applies Affliction, the pot shot scales beautifully in this setup. One key tip: all the weapons I just recommended can change the damage type, so adjust this depending on the current season. Right now, we're in Frozen Fjords, a water elemental season, so my weapons are perked with nature damage. If you want my full yearly timeline, I recommend bookmarking it. It's in the description below. I'm Lyrix-x, and I cannot stress enough just how much fun this Skunkasaurus Rex build is. This build will be one of my most frequently used loadouts in the entire game. If this video changed how you look at the Primal Stink Bow or Beastmaster style builds in general, do me a favor and drop a like. It tells the algorithm that this kind of deep dive save the world content is worth pushing. And if you want more builds that challenge the meta, revive overlooked heroes, and actually explain why things work, subscribe. This channel is all about turning theory into results. And if you made it this far, thank you. It's time to reveal the 3 heroes you'll be voting on for the next loadout video: Alchemist Sarah, Jolly Headhunter, or Ted. Each hero gives back to the players and their allies, making them the perfect fit for the season of giving. I hope everyone's having happy holidays, and remember, the meta does not define what's powerful. Creativity does.